Hello, my name is Karel Arnout and I am presenting Module 0, an introduction to the ReROOT project. Welcome to the set of videos narrating the story of the ReROOT project. This story unfolds in 4 stages, starting perhaps unconventionally at the end. So first we look into the outcomes of the project and work our way to exploring the research work behind these final products, and eventually end up delving into the big ideas and motivations behind this research. In this introductory module, I'll show you around in the 4 modules and point out the general workflow that kept almost 40 researchers and a wealth of local research participants busy for more than 4 years. We started in the spring of 2020, indeed in the middle of the COVID crisis, and landed in the summer of 2025. You guessed right, ReROOT was long, big, diverse and composite. Part of that complexity is heralded in the somewhat lengthy subtitle of the ReROOT project, Arrival Infrastructures as Sites of Integration for Recent Newcomers. No panic, in a minute I will briefly explain each of the 4 keywords of that title. For now, I just want to point out that in spite of its complexity, ReROOT is also quite comprehensible and accessible in its setup and outcomes. And it was designed to be that way. ReROOT is funded under the Horizon 2020 scheme of the European Commission in the category called Research and Innovation Action. This explains the so-called societal valorization dimension of the research project. The fact that research must feed into concrete action. As you can see, in ReROOT the action takes the form of 2 major types of output. First, the policy briefs presented in Module 1. They are meant to inform and stimulate policy making around arrival infrastructures and integration from the local over the national to that of the European Union. Second, the Integration Otherwise Inspiration Kit is a 200-page hands-on document geared to civil society practitioners and more broadly what we call community builders, as well as local level policymakers who want to better understand the integration work that they seek to rearrange or optimize. Model 3 then explains the innovative research behind this double action-oriented output. It provides an overview of the different sites, or what we call specific arrival situations, that we investigated, the methods and techniques we used, and above all, the forms of interaction and collaboration the local research teams were engaging in. In fact, in the Module 3 video, you will discover that the action I just told you about did not only reside in the output, but started already in the research itself, in the action research with local coalitions of civil society actors and even policymakers. Finally, Module 4 will help you to understand the general ideas behind this course of research and action, while bringing you closer to the heart of ReROOT, its profound disquiets and aspirations. It tries to clarify how arrival infrastructure enables us to map a global order of things that appears increasingly unhinged and falling apart, yet bursting with life-making in the interstices of its fractures and ruins. So this is the audiovisual story of ReROOT told in reverse. In fact, it is not the only thing that we turned on its head. ReROOT, quite frankly, makes a sustained attempt to shake up the way we generally or lazily look at migration and arrival, integration and even newcomers. These moves are explained presently, but in conclusion to this module, just this. If we choose to tell the story of ReROOT by starting from the action, it is because we think that action or practices, as we say, is indeed the very starting point or basis of the issues we are dealing with. Integration in its everyday, even banal yet reflexive form is taking place everywhere in our migration societies. And that any project or policy is destined to build further on that. And that is exactly what our Integration Otherwise Inspiration Kit is all about. It wants to help us to see, recognize and empower the often invisible but vital everyday integration labor that we are all involved in as researchers, as practitioners, as community builders, as newcomers or oldcomers, in other words, as citizens.